We're the American Sugarcane League. We represent Louisiana's sugarcane growers and processors. We've been around since 1922. We're a nonprofit organization funded by dues paid by our millers and growers. This is our annual meeting. We every year get together and have an annual meeting to elect our directors and members and officers of the organization, and take that opportunity to talk to our members and growers, our millers, about research activities that are important to Louisiana's industry, and legislative activities that we undertake to make sure that Louisiana can continue to produce sugar as we've done for the last 217 years.
What kind of an impact to Louisiana's economy does the sugar industry have?
Wow, it's big. We produce, this past year, produced 1,710,000 tons of raw sugar. And that's going to equal an economic impact to Louisiana of over $1 billion. It's the second consecutive year that Louisiana has a $1 billion sugarcane crop. So it's crucial to the economy of southern Louisiana, the small towns that have sugarcane produced all around them. And not only economic, but cultural and heritage activities. You know, we've been doing and growing sugarcane for over 200 years, and it's an important cultural aspect and part of our heritage here in Louisiana.
How many people are employed in the sugar industry in Louisiana?
Louisiana's got about 12,500 people employed directly or indirectly by sugarcane. So that economic impact is important. It provides jobs and economic activity for the communities where we live and work.
How does Louisiana rank compared to other states in terms of sugar production?
Sugar here in Louisiana is big from a national perspective. We produce about 15 to 20% of the U.S.'s sugar production. So it's very important for our nation for Louisiana to continue to produce. Florida is another cane state that produces a little bit more than Louisiana. And then sugar beet states up in the upper Midwest produce a good bit of sugar from sugar beets. So Louisiana is a crucial spoke in the sugarcane wheel throughout the U.S.
What are some of the issues facing the sugar industry, both in Louisiana and on a national basis?
Well, price is always crucial to us. You know, we can grow our crop and do a good job of growing, but price is very, very important to us. And the activities that we undertake in Washington are primarily structured and undertaken to make sure that we have a decent price for our product. So always something to do in Washington to try to make sure that we have a fair price for the sugar that we produce.
I've been in the sugar industry all my life. I grew up on a working plantation near Bayou in Louisiana, and from there went off, got through college with a degree in agronomy, then bought out a farming operation in 1982 from P.J. de Gravel. For the past 30 years, I've been involved in the sugarcane industry as Bayou Cane Company Incorporated. It's been a struggle from time to time. We've had some good years, and recently we had a year where the prices were generally high, or higher than normal is probably the right way to say it. But as a result of high prices, they always come down. They have done so. Having had that occur, you need to tighten the belt again and hold on to what you've got. You need to buy equipment, you need to move forward, and we will do that. Along the way, what has occurred, also the price of everything that we do has gone up with the higher prices. And as it comes down, those prices that we have to pay for tires, fertilizer, do not come down a great deal. I have to admit fertilizer has come down, though. In the case of tires and other products, fuel is high right now for some reason, God knows why. Again, you need to just manage your business, make sure that you can sustain this low price. It will not stay forever. It will come back up in time, and you just have to weather this storm that we have right now.
We've been farming sugarcane probably for the last 50 years in Youngsville, Louisiana. It all started with my grandfather's grandfather, and my grandfather took it to another level with my dad, and now I'm Eddie J. Lewis III still farming.
What's it like farming right now?
Right now it's great. I mean, we got big tractors and computers in them, so right now the modern day farmer is doing okay compared to when my great-grandfather was out there on the mule.
Louisiana sugar industry is a very old and very strong industry, very important to the state of Louisiana. All of agriculture and forestry in the state now exceeds the total revenue of any industry in Louisiana. And sugar being a very large part of that. So it's very important to the economy and the jobs in the state of Louisiana.
What would you like people to know about the issues facing the sugar industry, whether it's issues in Baton Rouge or whether it's issues in Washington?
Well, the concern of most of us right now is the new low price of sugar that we're seeing these days. The price of sugar was at a high about a year and a half ago of almost 40 cents a pound, and I think yesterday it closed at about 22. So we've seen a huge drop in price, getting pretty close to forfeiture levels and pretty close to the cost of production for us to produce sugar cane and sugar without depreciation.
What would you like to see happen? What needs to happen?
What needs to happen is we need to figure what mechanisms that we can use to rebound the price of sugar and get it at an acceptable level of pricing so that the industry in Louisiana can stay strong.
Sugar is one of the most important commodities that we grow in this country. We account for 142,000 jobs in 22 states. In Louisiana, it's one of the main generators of jobs and economic activity. Louisiana has been growing sugar for over a century, and we hope that they'll be able to continue to if they keep making the kind of advances that they are.
What kind of challenges does the sugar industry in Louisiana face in the halls of Congress?
Well, in Congress, we are looking at doing a new farm bill this year. About every 5 or 6 years, Congress does do a farm bill that covers all the commodities. Sugar will be a part of that. And in 2013, there's going to be a lot of concern about budgetary costs for programs. There's a lot of very partisan sort of arguing going on, but we're hoping that we can come through with our argument that sugar has run at zero cost to taxpayers for the last decade, that we are providing consumers with sugar at cost well below the world average cost of consuming sugar, and that we are an efficient industry that deserves to be allowed to continue to produce, and rather than being put out of business by subsidized foreign sugar.
What kind of an impact does Mexican sugar have on Louisiana sugar growers?
Mexican sugar has a big effect because under the NAFTA, we provided unlimited access to the Mexican industry for sugar into the U.S. And that's unfortunate because about a fifth of the Mexican industry is owned by the government and not by growers. So we have to cope with the fact that our free trade laws are allowing unlimited amounts of Mexican sugar into our market. It adds to the challenges for our growers, and the way that we can best cope with that is to have a successful 2013 Farm Bill with a good safety net, and for the growers to continue to invest to increase the yields and reduce costs.
Well, the sugar industry in general currently they've got relatively low prices. I think you're down substantially from, say, a year ago. For a host of reasons, but primarily a result of Mexico. Greater production and then far more exports than what most people thought a year ago. So you've got a buildup of supplies. We'll likely see reduced acreage this year, especially in sugar beets. Most of the analysts I've contacted are down about 25 to 35,000 acres in the beet area. The concern in the sugar area from a farm policy perspective is that cane is getting close to forfeiture levels for prices. Now, we won't be there until July as far as the decision time, but that may not be the best approach going into a farm bill debate. Other people say that's why you need an effective farm policy, because sometimes you do have low prices.
What kind of an impact is low prices having on Louisiana sugarcane growers?
Most of the industries had some pretty good years the last 2 years. So, and then with the multiple of crops grown in this area, I just came from a meeting of which there were corn, soybeans, sugarcane, was there. Some wheat, some cattle, and the outlook for corn and soybeans is still relatively robust. So when you look at the big picture, it's still, pretty good.
But I have to remind you and say once again, wow, what a year. It was one heck of a year for Louisiana's sugar production. in the midst of our current price situation, we can't lose sight of the fact that we had just an outstanding year in Louisiana sugarcane production. In 217 years of production, or 219 years as some folks count, starting in 1795, Louisiana's sugar industry has never made more raw sugar than we made this year. A whopping 1,710,000 tons of raw sugar. That's nothing but outstanding. Our prior year record was in 1995 when we produced 1,675,000 tons. Just an outstanding year of production here in Louisiana. And how do we do it? How do we do it? How do we produce that kind of sugar in Louisiana? Well, we do it through a unified effort. It all begins in a unified effort and research, research, research. It's the #1 plank of our organization. In our mission statement, I say it just about every year. The first item in our mission statement is research, and it's what we focus the majority of our industry's resources into. We've got a very unique arrangement in research in Louisiana. It's called the three-way agreement. You've probably heard us talk about it on numerous occasions. The three-way agreement started in the 1920s. It's an agreement between the American Sugarcane League, the USDA Sugarcane Research Station in Houma, and the Sugarcane Research Station at St. Gabriel and Audubon through the LSU Ag Center. It's a very unique arrangement, and we kind of take it for granted sometimes. When we visit with folks at USDA primarily who are engaged in research arrangements with other commodities throughout the nation, they often cite our three-way agreement and are curious as to why other commodities can't come up with an arrangement like we have here in Louisiana to research sugarcane. Research, research, research is crucial to what we do. It's very important. 1,710,000 tons of raw sugar grown in the most northern regions, or the most northern reach of sugarcane production in the world. This year we'll produce around 8,600 pounds of raw sugar per acre here in Louisiana. I mean, that's nothing short of outstanding. And I say again, our price situation kind of has a pall over us, but our production and what we've been able to accomplish here in Louisiana is really nothing short of outstanding. You know, there's been some discussion kind of amongst some of the researchers and the agronomists and the consultants in the industry that we're going to start a 5-digit club here in Louisiana. And that's for people that are producing more than 10,000 pounds of sugar per acre. I mean, that kind of number was unheard of years ago, and now we're hearing people reach that milestone, not on a regular occasion, but it's being reached more and more. And I think that number is going to be reached by more people more often in the years to come.
Important that people in Louisiana around the country support sugar growers.
Well, it's 142,000 jobs in 22 states. It's almost $20 billion a year in economic activity. And for that, we also we supply some of the highest quality, lowest price sugar in the world. So I think it's in consumers' interest to continue to have access to that high quality, low cost sugar. It's in the economic interest to maintain American jobs and not lose out to subsidized foreign producers. And it's in taxpayers' interest to maintain a policy that costs taxpayers nothing.
The issue that is facing in Washington is that in the policy area, we still have to go through a farm bill, debate. So an effective safety net is still needed. And in the realm of sugar, the status quo is the best approach. It served the sugar industry quite well. So if they don't see any changes in policy, that's very likely, to the best for them. Market-wise, we're going into this nervousness area relative to the U.S. Debt and deficit. So Washington has to get its act together for most farmers, and not just sugarcane, producers, relative to the U.S. and economic picture. And that's a big question mark right now.
Right now, last year was great. So we was told last year by the league, Jim Seymour, to go ahead and start saving your money and get prepared. So we've been prepared for the last 2-3 years for this crop. This year is still going to be a good price. Now next year we're going to have to watch ourselves a little bit more, but we've been prepared for this.
This country does not produce enough sugar to satisfy the needs of our country. Therefore, the domestic sugar industry produces a safe and secure product for this country. We buy a lot of offshore sugar, and we have to. But by and large, the sugar that's produced in this country is a lot safer than what you may get from offshore producers.
It's a way of life for our growers, our 450 sugar growers and 11 sugar mills. But more importantly than that, it's an important aspect of Louisiana and the economic importance of our industry and what we do for the state is something that I'm hopeful that the general public will understand as being crucial to us here in Louisiana.
If people have questions or would like more information, what should they do?
It's easy. You can call the American Sugarcane League office, or you can visit us at lacane.org. Website will take you right to a lot of information about Louisiana's sugar industry.